Hey, recording a short puzzle solving session today. So let's solve some puzzles in Lichess and see how it goes. Okay, so black to move. Black is fairly close of queening the pawn. White has to check on h5. And also white is close to queening. So I have to be able to... What if I take here? Rooks exchange. Go h6. But he has just enough time to come here, so that won't work. But if I just cover h6 and try to run the pawn, then he just goes. If I go to h6, he has to move the rook. My rook is covering h1. His pawn is blocking. The second rank, so he cannot come here to... It would be anyway too slow to try to stop my pawn to going h2. So would it work if I just go h6? Or he might go like g8, but then I can just pick up this pawn, and if it checks me, I come back to defend. So that would be probably a... I don't know if it's a winning endgame, but it's certainly better than it's now. Do I have anything better? Well, I could of course check to king. Checks have to be always checked. But then he just moves here. Do I have anything after that? And what if after that I bring my rook over to g5? I can always check h6 and then it's still hard for me to make progress because I can go g4, but how can I push the pawn? Because there's nothing to protect it. If I put the rook here, he just checks me again here. Or I could check here, king moves. But if I directly put the rook to h5, then he can just swing the rook to g1 and he has time to put it in front of the pawn. Probably not the best option. So check moves g5, but what if he then pushes? That's not good for me. I'm not gonna take the rook because he queens. So is it that this won't work? So I take here, he pushes, I come back, and he's one more square closer. And his king is even closer to my pawn, so that shouldn't be the right way. Okay, you have to think a better solution. So far the best move seems to be h5. And I'm threatening to push my pawn. And he cannot remove his pawn from the 6th rank because then I will just take his pawn. So h5, let's say g7, rook takes, rook check, king moves. So then what? If he pushes, I just move the king here. Yeah, that's not good. Sterling better, I'm missing, so check here didn't work, check here doesn't look at all promising because he has so many squares to go, it doesn't really threaten to take anything. I have to keep an eye on this pawn. I don't think there's gonna be a combination for me to be able to run my pawn. I have to always. But this check here is not even dangerous because I can protect the pawn. One question of course would be distraction, take here if he takes, run the pawn. But there's no time, I already checked that earlier. Makes it in time. If I push it directly, check here makes it impossible for me to protect it. And check here didn't work. If I take here, he moves anywhere. Here the rook, then I can push. That's not good for him. So he has to give up the pawn. Okay, I'm gonna try that. That's the best I can come up with here. So let's see. King h5. No, that's not the move. What else could it be? Is it the check? It is. Then it must be. Oh yeah, now I can push because I can block with the rook. Oh yeah. That was a tough one. Okay, let's see here what we can do here. We have obvious threat here, of course. If there would be no defenders, that would be mating, but he has 3 defenders, so that's a threat to keep in mind. But it doesn't seem like something that can be realized very easily. And there's of course the king is on the way. I cannot swing this rook easily here, so if I was thinking of something like checking with the pawn if he takes, that doesn't seem likely. But what if I, but then he can even hide the rook behind my pawn and he's fairly safe there. What about any checks? I have a check here. Does that do something? Does that do something? If I check here, he just moves. He cannot block with queen. I just take it. Take the dame. And if there's 2 squares to go, very little threats on those squares. Well, what I can win with that check is of course the king moves and I can take with the bishop, creating here two pretty nasty checks, but even if I manage to play that, I cannot see anything. He seems to have this dark squares to run the king away. Looks uncomfortable, but I cannot see any disease decisive. What about just taking with the brute force check? Takes doesn't lead to anything interesting, does it? Or taking here? No. He takes. Well, of course he. Oh, wait a second. Cannot take with the queen. Can he? I think he takes with the queen, but if I then play the check here, has to block with the queen, or otherwise I take the queen, and then I can take this rook. Or if I here check, the king can go hide here, of course, but then I take the queen, so that might be it. But what if he just doesn't take? This is not a check in any ways. Of course, then I have the nasty threats here. So let's say I take, then he does something completely else. Let's say he or she, the opponent, the white plays, take here, just some defending move, like I think it's really hanging immediately, so brings queen closer to king. Then I check here, my pawn is there, cannot really blockade, he has to go here, check here, king has to come here, still can, then another queen. I'm starting to believe this might be the solution. Let's try it. No. Not good. Okay, it's the check here. What's the follow-up? Then take. I saw. No, I was thinking of taking with the bishop, but the right answer was take with the pawn because we can quit. Makes sense. Now, let's see. Not a good run so far. Well, there's this check that seems interesting immediately. Discovering the rook. And of course, the queen is also attacked. So let's see. Can of course just move away. In which case I of course take and I win material. So moving away is not an option. So if I check, he takes. That's not an option either because I just take. This seems quite straightforward, I would say. But is there anything better? Not really. If he takes with the king, that would be interesting. But at least I win a quality then, if nothing better. No, that's not it. Take with the queen. And then win the quality. Okay, from move order. Why it doesn't work with the... Why it doesn't work with the... First the bishop takes. This is hanging. Cannot take with rook because I take the queen. Cannot move away because I win the quality. Take with the king. But I should move win quality also in that case. I don't get it. The king. Oh yeah, now I get it. So if I take a queen, he can take with the check, so I have to take first here and then. I didn't win anything. Okay. Let's see, let's try to get at least one or two puzzles solved. So let's see what's going on here. Down quality, my king is in a very uncomfortable square, I would say. My pawn is very close of queening, but in a very cramped up. My pieces are very cramped up in that part of the board, so let's think. Of course the checks have to be checked out, so does a check here do anything? Let's just say the king moves somewhere. Or even the king moves this way if he doesn't want to give me any pins on the back rank, so then I can move the rook, because exchange of the rooks would of course benefit me, but in that way it would be better for him to have his king here, because then I cannot offer this. Takes, he's better off. Okay, one option would be try to exchange the... Oh, that might be to exchange the rooks. And then the bishop is guarding the winning square. And even if he can play one check here, I can just keep my king guarding the h7 square. So I think I'm able to run my pawn. I think that works. Well, let's try out. Let's see how it goes. Okay, this time I had the correct idea. Let's try at least one more. So what's going on here? White is down a lot of material. So to be able to win... No, white is not what I'm talking about. White is not a lot of down of material. Material is about equal, not equal, white is down 2 pawns, but black has the pawns are the pawn structure is worse. Looking at the position, the black's piece positioning looks a little bit suspicious, all those not very well protected. I was looking if there would be some queen trapping. No, cannot see that. If there's any attack for white, cannot see that. Black's king is quite well defended. So I think what I could win here would be probably found somewhere here, these weakly defended pieces, and now I think in particular the bishop is interesting, and I'm thinking of move like G4, which should force the rook to move, since rook cannot come here, and I'm attacking these two squares. So when the rook goes, I take the bishop. So I think this should be again fairly straightforward, and the rook cannot come to any of these squares since they are all well protected. Well, he can come here, but I take, and at the same time I still got the knight, so I shouldn't have any issues. I can of course here and double attack the knight, but that I can just easily protect with my rooks. So I think that must be it. Let's see. Yeah, and now I pick up the bishop. Let's see the next one. That's quite a messy board. I have to try to make sense of it first. Does not look like white has enough pieces coordinated against the black king, and there would be enough of a coordinated attack to claim that there would be a mating attack here. So I think that's out of the question. Neither it seems like his queen can be trapped or something like that, has so many squares to go. His king is, black's king is in a very uncomfortable square between the rooks. Must be some combination winning material. So what are my active moves? Do I have anything hanging? Hanging, not immediately. I was saying that his queen is not in immediate danger, but I take it back. Actually, when you look at his squares where his queen can go, it doesn't really have that free squares to go to. It actually has very little free squares to go to, only one. Plus the one the queen currently is. And for example, a move like this seems like trap it immediately, but then, and it does, doesn't it? I thought he would have some out here then, because I removed the projector, but I have the knight coming here, still protecting the d4 pawn. So does this trap the queen immediately? I think so. Cannot go here, cannot go here, cannot go here. Can take. These squares are protected, and all but here. this square is not defended anymore. I'll move the bishop here. Queen can come here. And the first move I looked at was rook here. Then he has this square to go to. Oh yeah, and sorry, this is not even possible because he can just take. It's not as simple as I thought. I thought I already had something, but it doesn't seem to be so. If I first take here, has to take back with the queen, does that change anything? Not really. So it's almost better like this. What about this rook? This rook move is very limited, at least. Only one square. Oh, yeah. Now I think I got it. So this rook move, he has only one square to go to, as said before. And then I can just pick up this knight here, right? So it's that should work. Now I still have all these squares nicely covered. Everything is covered. So here, 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 here. That must be it. That seemed to be better for the black player to hit the queen, the black queen. Okay, one more. Let's see if we can solve one more. Here I had an immediate idea of something like, if there's a mating pattern, check here, of course takes the queen, check, king comes, has to move, he would have blockade with the queen, takes, king moves here, here is a possible escape route. Then again, if I check with the other rook, he has two squares to go. But with both of those squares, he has a problem. Either I can check here with the rook, or if he goes here, I can check here. The rook, he can come still to this square. And then I can mate just with the b4. I think I have it. Here, check. Check. Oh. Yeah, and I can still see. I didn't see, but I have to say I didn't see the. I overlooked that move. But fortunately for me, it still seems to work for me. So is the move still this check? He can again escape here, and then I can pick up the queen, I guess, and I can have a winning endgame. The quality up. Do I have something better? Shouldn't have. I don't have a mate. I don't think so. Yeah. So there I had a little bit luck. I couldn't really see the correct answer, but I saw an answer along the same lines, and that was enough this time. Let's try to solve one more. I think I'm having around the same amount of points as when started, so let's try to get one more right and end with a higher score than I started with. Okay, here I think there would be it could be a mating attack. Okay, I had an immediate idea before I had to analyze, time to analyze much more. Can I just take here? And of course it's good for me if he exchanges queens. Okay, that's not perhaps ideal. I want a piece, but it's still endgame one piece down. Of course, I think he has to take the queen, because if he takes the rook, I can just check. Is there a mate? There might not even be a mate, because the queen does good job covering this square. So that's not probably the solution. What about check here? He can of course blockade, because this is a protected square. Oh no, he cannot. Because I had two attacking, that would just lose a queen. So it might be, this might be the solution. So check if he moves here. And yeah, and then cover blocking with the knight would just immediately lose the queen, so that's that's terrible. Terrible news for the black. So let's say, let's try once more. Check here. So he has to, basically he has to move the king here. Again, I can win a piece by taking here. Knight takes, by taking this bishop. But I wonder if there's something better. Check moves. I could of course check. Again, same thing, he cannot take with the knight because the queen drops. So check, check. He moves the king back. Only move. And then discover check, and he loses the queen. That seems like a good solution. Let's try. Oh, yeah, that worked. Okay. Managed to end the puzzle solving session with a little bit higher rating than I started with, so very happy with that. And I think it might be all-time highest rating for me in Lichess.